Hello. We are doing in science today marine plants down through maritime forests. Okay, so you're going to see that you got a whole package there at the end. You probably noticed that already. All you got to do is answer those questions. I think there's like 15 questions or something like that. But anyway, it starts with marine plants and seaweeds, seagrasses, things like that, all the way through maritime forest. Once you hit maritime forest, complete it, you're through. We'll pick up with marshes and things like that tomorrow. Okay, pretty simple class. You also will have at the very end of your all the questions and all that is a word search and 2 pictures that you can just color. Those are due for you. They're due Monday. Okay, if you can do those in terms and just show me those, then you get points for those also. Okay. All right. Here we go. All right. Well, I guess you thought wrong. So. It was like kindergarten, but someone's getting to do something I didn't get to do, and it's not fair. Okay, here we go.
It's not fair. I can't
It's not fair. I'm going to tell you something that I know you've never heard before. Life's not fair. I know that's new. Some of you have never heard that one before.
Yeah, we all have our little ones.
Yeah, okay. But life's just not fair. It's just that simple. Yes, Caleb. We'll start eventually. Yes, it all ties in, but you notice how we scroll down. Last class did this. But wait, it's not up there. It's like 4 pages. Okay? It's not all going to show up at one time. That's why someone scrolls down or up or whatever, which direction you consider it going. Okay? I confuse whoever's doing it because I say, okay, go down, and they go down, but they're actually going up, and it's just like, wait a minute, what? Okay, so don't you see the exciting times you missed, huh? Aren't you sad that you're missing all of this? I know I would be. All right, here we go. All right, marine plants, seaweed, and algae. This kind of gives you a rundown. A little bit of all of them, and then we'll talk about some of the individual parts of it. The vast majority of marine plants are algae. Okay? The vast majority are algae. And algae are simple plants. Now, here's the deal though. They do not possess true roots. They do not have stems. They do not have leaves. And they do not have flowers. Okay, although they can have similar looking structures. So they're not a true plant. Okay, because a true plant's got to have those things. So algae falls into that category, but they're also considered not a true plant. Okay. The need for specialized plant structure is obliterated. Anyway, these guys they're kind of they're a weird little thing, actually. An algae plant is able to absorb nutrients, carbon dioxide, and water over their entire surface. That's the reason the reason they're considered a plant is because they do absorb nutrients and they can absorb carbon dioxide. So they're considered a plant. Okay, even though they don't have a root system and things of that nature.
Well, then how do they latch on to stuff?
Have you ever seen it? This stuff will attach to anything, but it's just because it becomes entangled.
Oh.
Yeah, it becomes entangled in stuff. It doesn't have to have root systems that hold it down, but it will get wrapped around rocks and all kinds of things on the bottom of the ocean. If you've ever been fishing and cast out, you have probably at some point in time thought you hooked a well, only to find out that it was just, when you finally break it off, it's just algae or seaweed or something of that nature. Okay. All right. Almost every seaweed found washed up on the beach is in fact an algae. Okay, back to the vast majority of marine plants are algae plants, okay? Many are leafy in shape, such as sea lettuce. The size will range from anywhere above, just about microscopic, up to 10 feet, okay? They have found 10-foot kelp out there, so I mean, it can get to be pretty good size stuff. Do you have a question, dear? Okay. Okay. The color of algae plants ranges from green to blue-green to red to brown. The colors emanate from the different light-capturing pigment, which varies with the intensity of light where the algae grows. So if it's deeper down, it's going to be a different color than if it's near the surface. Okay, which one do you think would be? What color do you think would be nearer the surface? What do you think?
More green.
More green, yeah. Yeah, the further down it gets, and the less light it gets, the darker the coloring of it is, because it's not activating those pigments in it to make the coloring, okay? All right. Grass species are also important marine plants. Grasses, unlike the algae plants, are true flowering plants, though, okay? They have roots, stems, leaves, and flowers. Okay? Thank you. Eelgrass is the predominant grass species off the Carolina coast. Why do you think it's called eelgrass? Anybody know?
Because eels eat it?
What do you think?
Because it looks like an eel?
Because it looks like an eel. Somebody in the last class, Rihanna had she said, the eels eat it? And they might. I don't know. They very well might chew on it. But somebody said it was because eels hide in it. Then again, they might. But it's actually called eelgrass because it's that long, slender, and it waves all around in the wind. That's why it's referred to as eelgrass. Yes?
For this 30 page, we need a note for each section.
Each one of them. Yep. Every one of them.
What do you mean for section?
No, each question. Okay? Now, where was it? The blaze of the grass serves as a site of attachment and shelter for numerous marine plants and animals. Okay? So beds of eelgrass thus serves an important nursery for many species. So they are found in the more shallow waters. Okay? Smaller animals, small fish, crabs, things of that nature will come in and inhabitate the eelgrass and have their offspring, and they will stay in that until they get a little bit of size to them, because they're hard to find. Okay, they're harder to find in there. So they'll stay in there. So that serves as a nursery for them until they get some size, and then they go out into the sound or out into the ocean or whatever.
Can you go for like 1 second just so I can finish that one sentence?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
You back it up a little bit. There you go. We're trying to learn how to answer our questions as we talk. Kind of a note-taking ability here. So it's a learning process. Everybody's under the illusion you know how to study and that you know how to take notes because you're just born that way, but you're not. You actually have to learn how to do all this stuff. Okay. All right. Beach grass. Beach grass grows on sand dunes as separate clumps of green grass, reaching a height of up to 3 feet. Okay. It has long, thin green leaves of beach grass are not accompanied by a stalk of sea plumes, kind of like the sea oats. And there is a difference, okay? Seagrass looks basically like grass. It just gets really tall, but it doesn't have a separate plume. And we're going to show you pictures here in a second, okay? It doesn't have a plume that comes up with the head. You ever seen an oat plant? Okay, if you've ever seen one, it grows, it's got plumes that comes up out of the plant, and then it's got a sea pod that sets up on top of it. Okay? And sea oats do the same thing. That's why it's referred to as a sea oat. It grows near the sea, and it looks like an oat plant. Okay? That grows out in the Midwest or something. Okay, very similar to it. All right. When beach grass is planted on a dune, grains of sand will collect around the plant as sand is blown over the surface of the beach. The sand that gathers at the base of the plant actually stimulates further plant growth. Okay? And the cycle of sand collection and plant growth continues, stabilizing the sand dunes in the vicinity of the grass. And you can leave that there for a second. Now, think about this. You go home, you get Dad to run you by Home Depot, you buy you up a whole bunch of sand, and you go home and your mom's got maybe a prize rose bush that she just absolutely loves, and babies and all that, and you start throwing sand all around that thing. Oh, your mother's going to be so happy with you, because sand will smother it out. It's not made to grow in sand. Okay? But these things, the more sand you can get around the roots of it, the better it grows. If you bury it under sand, it will grow faster. Is that not weird?
But, I mean,
Almost like God had a plan. He's like, okay, I need to put something on these sand dunes to help protect the environment out here. So I'm going to create this grass that will grow in sand. Not only will it grow, if you bury it, it actually grows faster and stronger.
That's so cool.
That's weird, okay? It's really weird.
It's like that one.
Okay? All right, you can raise it up. And that is a picture of sea grass,
Why is it called sea?
okay? Because it just looks like tall grass. It looks like my backyard before I get around to mowing it sometimes. It's
Yay!
about 3 feet tall, you know. My neighbors love me. They're like, oh, got another hayfield going, okay.
Can you scroll back a little bit?
Can we scroll back down a little bit? Yeah, there we go.
You
All
could
right.
make a business selling that.
I could. Okay.
My grandpa makes his own round bales. And he makes like,
Yep.
and he piles them up, and we'll go out and ride out, and I get to climb it, and then I like slide down. It's like,
You have to play on it. All right. Now, when beach grass is planted on a dune, grains of sand collects around the plant as the sand is blown over the surface. So as the wind is blowing the sand up off the beach, it's hitting up to the dunes. It's hitting these sea grasses and things, and it catches it, and it falls to the roots.
Wait, we already read this part.
Okay? Well, and I'm telling you again.
Telling you.
I'm trying to explain to you so you understand what it's saying. So it hits and it falls down to the roots, and it builds up, okay? And that, by collecting the sand like that, you're building up the dunes. So that's how the dunes are continuing to get bigger and bigger and bigger, because these plants catches the sand as it's blowing by and it's falling down. Okay? All right. Sea oats. Sea oats not only survive on the dunes, they are essential stabilizers and builders of the dunes as well. Okay? The roots of a sea oat hold sand in place. The grass leaves stops and collect blowing sand, just like the seagrass do. Okay? Without sea oats, dunes would soon be decimated by storms, storm flooding, and wind. Okay? So the main part of a sea oat plant is the long-stemmed grass. In addition, sea oats displays a separate, distinctive stalk. Okay? That's what we were talking about. And it can be up to 6 feet tall. And it is capped by a sea pod. And we're going to show you a picture. It just comes up, it's just a pod. And it's got the seeds in it. Okay? It's got all the seeds in it. And when it's time, it will open up, and the wind then will blow those seeds, and the seeds will fall into the sand, and what happens?
It grows more.
It grows more. Thank you. See, we got future farmers in here. You plant a seed, and what happens? Okay, all right, here we go. All right. All right. Anyway, in the spring, the sea oats and the beach grass are hard to tell apart because both are just green grass. But later on, the sea oats will grow into a very picturesque stalk topped by the sea plum, and the plums remains through early winter. So those plums will actually stay there through early winter. And you're going to notice that when we talk about maritime forests and things. These plants are a little different than what we're accustomed to here. Okay? The way that when they decide to spout their seeds and things like that, it's a little different. Okay? All right, everybody got these?
No.
Okay, we'll keep working. Here we go. You do realize all this is online, right? So if you miss something, you can go find it. Savannah last night went out and found it and got it worked ahead. She answered a bunch of the questions that we hadn't even got to yet.
What is number 9? I think the number 9.
I don't know what number 9 is, son. I'm sorry, I don't have them all memorized.
Just way separate.
That was
literally pointing it right to me.
Yeah, if you tell me the question, I'll be happy to help you, but I don't, unfortunately, I do not have all your questions memorized by number in my head. You would think I would, though. I mean, as long as I have taught this stuff, you would think I would, but I really don't.
How do beach grass grow their seeds?
How do beach grass?
How do beach grass grow their seeds?
Like any other grass, they actually have little seedings on them that will blow out.
Oh.
Yeah, they actually will, and they spread. Think about grass. Okay, when you plant grass, it might start to grow here, but eventually it will start to grow outward, and it will start to fill in spots. It takes longer,
Yeah.
but it will spread. The rooting systems and all will spread, and it will actually grow. Yeah. No, it is quite amazing. If you get into this stuff, it's really quite amazing. All right, let's go up one. All right. These are oats. You can see all these things right in here is the plums that they're talking about, and the seed pods. Shifting sands on the dunes may partially or totally bury sea oats. Okay, and sea oats not only survive the burial, but burial actually stimulates the plants to grow faster. So if you took that thing and you buried it completely under the sand, it eventually will pop through the sand because it will continue to grow. You can't. Most plants, if you take sand and cover them, then you kill them. Okay, soil is one thing. They'll work their way through it, but sand is different. That's a different animal altogether, so to speak. Okay? All right, so that's a picture. These are the stalks that they're talking about here. And the big leafy looking things are the pods. That's the seed pods.
Is there grass in between them?
The what?
Seagrass.
Seagrass, it just looks like grass,
Isn't it
except it's tall.
Isn't it in between all the seeds?
Yes, it's just kind of the same. Yeah, and this is some of it down in here. It doesn't get quite, because these things can get up to 6 feet tall. Seagrass will get up to about 3. All right, let's go to maritime. I think it's maritime. Yeah. All right. Yes. Sure. Okay. Maritime forest. Okay, maritime means near the sea. Okay, maritime means near the sea. I think that's one of your questions. Okay? Maritime forest groves are located close to the ocean. Tracts of maritime forests are generally located on the back or the sound side of a barrier island. Okay? Remember yesterday we talked about the way it was laid out? You got the ocean, you got the beach, you got the primary dune, the secondary dune, then the maritime forests and things like that. So it's a little bit closer to the sound side, okay, instead of the ocean, okay? On dunes closest to the ocean, only grasses and a few bushes can endure. Trees are unable to gain a foothold even the hardy salt-resistant trees of the maritime forest will eventually succumb to the heavy salt spray. If they were sitting right up on the beach, that's why when you go to the beach you don't have shade trees. Okay, they can't survive there. Not right down on the beach. Even even one that was designed to live in that area, the heat and the constant sea spray would actually take its toll on it. Okay, it probably could not survive. But because God set them back away from the ocean, the sea spray will shape them, but they live. And they serve as a habitat for deer, raccoon, possums, everything that's around here you've got at the beach, believe it or not. You just don't see them as often because they live back near, they live back in the woods. Okay? All right? Okay. Now, behind the frontal dunes, maritime forest begins. And even there, the effects of the salt spray are noticeable. See how that tree is kind of slanted out? That's what we're talking about. That's that is called salt pruning. Okay? That's where the wind and the salt is constantly hitting that tree where it was rounded off, and it just keeps hitting it, and eventually it will flatten it out a little bit in that area, and they will be slanted. Okay?
So, wait.
Yes?
Does anybody know what number 2 is? I was working
I
on it.
realize we might not have gotten to it yet.
We have.
Okay. The trees close to the ocean absorbs the brunt of the wind and the salt spray, and it stunts their growth. Okay? The trees assume a characteristic wedge shape, and that is the slanting away from the ocean. And again, that is referred to as salt pruning. Salt-tolerant trees and bushes of the maritime forest includes the live oak, the laurel oak, the loblolly pine, red cedars, things of that nature. As a rule, it's the live oak. This is what we talked about yesterday in class a little bit. Live oaks are associated with and dominate the maritime forest from Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, down to Hilton Head, South Carolina. You've got some of these other trees in there, but it is primarily the live oak. Okay?
Why is it called live oak?
We're going to find out right now in a second. Because although it is a true oak tree, it is different from any other oak tree. It's an evergreen. Think about an oak tree around here. What happens in the fall? They lose their leaves. They lose their acorns. Okay? Okay? Here, these guys are evergreen. Evergreen means they stay green all year. Yeah. A little different, huh? All right. Live oaks are large, squat trees. Okay, that means they're shorter. The mighty oak tree around here will be, 200-300 feet high sometimes. Okay, they're huge. These, not so much. Okay, they're shorter. They are short, thick trunk. It is topped out by a wide dome of branches and leaves. Live oaks are evergreen trees, but not in the common sense of the word, like a pine tree with needles. But in the true sense of the word, it remains green throughout the winter. It doesn't lose its spring. It doesn't lose its leaves in the fall. It keeps its leaves all winter long. Okay? Live oak's leaves are shed every spring, but the process is gradual, and the tree is never without greenery. So as it is losing its leaves in the springtime, new life has already appeared.
Is there any time between?
No. That's what is evergreen. It's never without its leaves.
No, I mean, like, once one of the leaves loses, is one immediately grown?
Well, it's growing as. It's not like this one falls off and one goes, boing. You know, it's not like that. But they are growing.
That'd be fun to
Imagine
watch.
like every year
Yeah.
there's like
They
that
might be,
little-
there's probably smaller, you know, because they are growing, but it has leaves. That's the
Yeah, it
thing.
always has some leaves.
It always got some leaves. Yeah, yeah, it's not like a magical, you know, like.
Yeah,
you know,
but the evergreens, do they never lose their
I told
leaves?
Miss Kermeen.
No.
They don't fall down to it.
When they lose them, they lose the leaves in the springtime, but because new growth is already starting to come out, they are never without.
Wait, so regular evergreens do lose them? They just gradually-
They lose their old leaves. I mean, every year they lose leaves, but new ones are already growing.
Imagine like every year in some far off country, like there's that one tree, like that all the leaves will just go,
Yeah,
and
that,
then like little tiny new ones just like, in front. What?
hey.
Like it just.
All right, here we go. Live oak leaves are 2 to 5 inches long and elliptical in shape. Elliptical, not round, not square, elliptical. Okay. All right, a waxy. Here's the deal, and you will notice this if you remember this next year when you get out there. The leaves has a waxy coating that protects the leaves from salt spray in the hot sun. Okay, if you go out this summer and you take an oak, if you find an oak tree and you can get hold of one of the leaves off of it, you can take that thing and crush it in your hand, right? Yeah, you can't do that with these. They got a wax coating that protects them. Okay, the live oaks has a wax coating. The flowers will appear on live oaks each spring. Acorns falls from the tree in the autumn, so it is an oak tree. Okay, and the acorns will fall. All right, mammy. Here we go. And that's a picture of one right there. You can see that. That'll be the ones that are out in front of Camp Caswell. Looks a whole lot like that right there. They're great climbing trees, but somebody fell out of one or something a few years ago and broke an arm or something, so now you're not allowed to climb them anymore. All right,
Coach Osborne.
keep going.
Coach Osborne.
All right, and that was it. Yes.
There was this.
I'm gonna say bye to you while Leo is telling me some story here. Okay.
They had one of